Welcome to the Lockheed Martin Pilot Web. To obtain a pre-flight briefing through the Lockheed Martin Pilot Web, follow these few simple steps. Please note, for the purposes of this video, the functions of a briefing will be covered as a general overview. Highly detailed instructions may be found in the user guide located under Help in the menu bar. To begin, log in to your personal Pilot Web main page. From the main page, select Flight Planning and Briefing from the menu bar. Hover down and select Briefings, Flight Plans, and Navlogs. To request a flight plan route briefing, fill out a VFR/IFR flight plan in either domestic or ICAO format. For all briefing types, the following information is required: flight rules, aircraft ID, airspeed, altitude, departure point, proposed departure date and time, and destination. Once the flight plan form has been filled out, 3 selections may be made before requesting the briefing. The briefing corridor may be adjusted to 50, 75, or 100 nautical miles. This distance is the boundary, either side of your flight route, that your weather briefing will be tailored to. The winds aloft corridor, similar to the briefing corridor, allows for selections of 100, 200, 300, or 600 nautical miles, either side of your flight route, tailoring the winds aloft that are displayed. If flying at flight level 180 or above, you may select high altitude briefing to filter out lower level extraneous information. Next, select the type of briefing you wish to obtain. A standard briefing is a fully compliant FAA weather briefing for flights departing in less than 6 hours from the present time. An outlook briefing is mainly a forecast weather briefing tailored to flights departing in more than 6 hours from the present time. An abbreviated briefing is a briefing that may be customized to only display those items you wish to see. The selection of those items is made by a pop-up window after selecting the abbreviated brief button. The scheduled email brief button allows you to have a briefing of your choice emailed to you at a time of your choosing. These selections are also made by a pop-up window after selecting the schedule email brief button. The date and time, email address, and content may all be modified. For the purposes of this flight plan route briefing demo, we will choose a standard weather briefing. Weather briefings will be displayed in a pop-up window. Please ensure your internet browser settings do not restrict pop-ups. The main features of the weather briefing window are the menu bar, briefing tabs, the text briefing pane, and the graphics pane. The top menu bar contains selections for briefing preferences, such as plain text. This checkbox allows for the briefing to be translated into plain text format. Next Gen view. This checkbox is selected by default. Next Gen, or Next Generation Briefing, allows for enhanced weather products to be displayed and defined by polygons or segments around your route of flight. Weather along your flight will be focused and summarized. You will be shown an estimate of when your route of flight is predicted to pass by or pass through those polygons, as well as how close in time the route is to the weather product's active times. This information is displayed in time tags in the text summaries and graphics pane of the Next Generation Briefing. These time tags will aid in decision-making and avoidance of TFRs and severe weather phenomena. Central to the top menu bar is the Route Briefing Summary. This provides a brief summary of the route information this briefing is tailored to. On the right of the menu bar are selections to register for briefing updates. Briefing updates allow you to have email alerts sent should any adverse information in the briefing change. The briefing change updates can be tailored, scheduling when you would like to have the updates start and stop, as well as who those updates can be sent to. Also on the right are options to have this specific weather briefing emailed or printed. Below the top menu bar are the briefing tabs. These briefing tabs contain all the information required to be displayed for a standard weather briefing. Most briefing tabs contain subtabs to separate out different categories of the main tab. All tabs are displayed with colored indicator dots on each tab. These indicators identify that a specific tab has not yet been viewed. Once a tab and all its subtabs have been viewed, this indicator will be removed. This is to assist you in ensuring all pertinent data for your route is viewed. The text briefing pane displays all textual data for the weather briefing. Briefings may be displayed in standard or next-gen format, and displayed in plain text if desired. Next-gen format was explained a short time ago, and standard format is an untranslated, direct display of the weather data for your requested route. The graphics pane complements the text briefing pane by displaying appropriate and selectable weather graphics for the briefing. Each selection in the text briefing pane will generate a default graphic to be displayed in the graphics pane. The graphics pane is customizable, however. The background map on the graphics pane may be changed to 4 different selectable backgrounds. The graphics pane may be moved by clicking and dragging the image, or zoomed using the zoom tools in the upper left. Also, your mouse scroll wheel may be used for zoom, or to zoom to a specific area, simply hold down the Control key and click and drag the selected area. Depending on the briefing tab selected, the graphics pane image will change and display information relating to the briefing tab. Below the graphics pane image, there are 3 buttons allowing you to customize the weather image being displayed. Be aware that some buttons are disabled based on the weather tab you are currently viewing. The Animate Weather button allows you to animate the displayed radar or satellite overlay. The Configure Map button allows for the type of radar or satellite image to be selected and overlaid. Also, this button also allows for the display of navigational data such as airports, navaids, routes, sectional charts, and boundaries. The Supplemental Weather button allows for the selection of different weather charts, which may be useful in relation to the current briefing tab. These weather charts will open in a separate pop-up window. The lower part of the graphics pane will always display pertinent legend and descriptive information based on the image being displayed. To step through a weather briefing, simply use the displayed weather tabs as your guide. Each weather tab will display sub-tabs of more detailed and categorized data for the selected main briefing tab. The Adverse Conditions tab will display all adverse conditions for the flight route. TFRs, closed or unsafe NOTAMs are departure, destination, and alternate airport adverse NOTAMs. The only NOTAMs displayed here are those that affect the departure and destination and alternates and are considered adverse, meaning they indicate runway or aerodrome closures or unsafe conditions. Also in this sub-tab are quick links to the airport's information page and airport diagram. Convective SIGMETs, AirMets, urgent pilot reports or UUAs, center weather advisories, and other severe weather such as notification messages from the National Weather Service Storm Prediction Center. These advisories may be stepped through and summarized using the next-gen briefing format. The Synopsis tab will display the area forecast text synopsis of those area forecast regions crossed by your route of flight. The graphics pane will always display the current surface analysis chart by default. However, different supplemental weather products may be selected by using the Supplemental Weather button. The Current Weather tab is divided into 2 sub-tabs. METAR, or Current Weather, will be displayed in the order of departure, route, and destination, followed by alternates. Under the next-gen view, current weather will be segmented along your route of flight, grouping similar weather conditions for summarization. You may step through these segments by selecting the Next or Previous buttons located at the top of the text pane. As you select through the next-gen briefing, the graphics pane will highlight the areas being summarized. Auto-summarization will display for each segment above the selected METAR reports. In this example, conditions are summarized as IFR through Mason City, Iowa, with ceilings as low as 500 feet, widespread mist, rain, and light drizzle. Visibilities as low as 1.5 statute miles. The PIREP tab will display all normal and urgent pilot reports, or AirReps, that fall into your briefing area corridor. In next-gen view, you may step through the PIREPs using the Next or Previous buttons. The Forecast Weather tab is divided into 3 sub-tabs. The Area Forecast sub-tab displays all appropriate state or zone forecasts as issued by the Aviation Weather Center. If a flight penetrates any states or zones in an Area Forecast product, the entire Area Forecast Bulletin will be included in your briefing with the states or zones identified. In Next-Gen View, you may step through the forecast zones by using the Next or Previous buttons. The Terminal Area Forecast sub-tab displays all terminal area forecasts inside the route corridor. In Next-Gen View, like current conditions, terminal area forecasts will be graphically summarized and also based on filed airspeed. The terminal area forecasts are highlighted showing the estimated passing time of that location. Time tags of those passing times will also be displayed in the graphics pane. The Winds Aloft sub-tab shows a chart and legend of winds aloft forecasted for your route of flight. The blue highlighted column is your filed altitude. The Winds Aloft forecast chart shows the forecast periods from present at the top to the future forecast periods going down the table. The graphics pane will display the locations of those Winds Aloft forecast stations for reference. The NOTAM tab is divided into 6 to 8 tabs depending on alternate airports filed. The departure, destination, and alternate subtabs will display all NOTAMs affecting those locations in order of NOTAM type. Also, those NOTAMs, if applicable, will be overlaid onto the graphics pane as their appropriate symbol. The en route NOTAM subtab will open its own set of subtabs to display all NOTAMs, each type in their own tab that affect the route of flight in route order. Nav NOTAMs are displayed first by default, with all NOTAMs being displayed. However, you may deselect any one type of nav NOTAM to filter the results. COM NOTAMs displays all NOTAMs classified as communications, such as frequency outages, remote communication outlet outages, or other ATC frequency outages. Service NOTAMs displays all NOTAMs that fall under the category of service. Obstruction NOTAMs displays all NOTAMs that fall under the obstruction category, such as towers, cranes, stacks, or wind farms. Obstruction NOTAMs are filtered to only show those within your filed route corridor and can be filtered further to exclude those outside of 1,000 feet of your filed altitude by checking the box at the top of the obstruction NOTAMs page. Airspace NOTAMs will display airspace NOTAMs such as parachute operations, unmanned aircraft, demonstration aircraft, or rocket launches. The graphics pane will by default display all special use airspace types with labels and a legend below. SUA NOTAMs are those NOTAMs for special use airspace activity that is conducted outside of published times. Again, the graphics pane will by default display all special use airspace types with labels and a legend below. Runway, taxiway, apron, aerodrome, and FDC NOTAMs are displayed together on a tab for all en route airports along the route of flight and inside the briefing corridor. Other and unverified NOTAMs are those issued under the Other category or otherwise cannot be identified by the briefing system. MIL NOTAMs are those designated as military NOTAMs at military and joint use airports along your route and inside the briefing corridor. The General FDC sub-tab will display all published NOTAM data regarding charts and procedures. The International sub-tab will display all international NOTAMs for your route should it intersect international airspace. The Uncategorized sub-tab houses all NOTAMs that could not be identified as one of the previous categories. The Flow Control tab displays all flow control advisories issued by the Air Traffic Control System Command Center. The UOA tab allows you to see the unmanned aircraft system operating areas that are in your briefing area. The unmanned operating areas are included in the briefing if requested altitude for the briefing is in vertical proximity to the maximum altitude of the unmanned operating area, or if the unmanned operating area is in lateral proximity to any of the departure, destination, or alternate airports. The Miscellaneous tab will have subtabs for the National Hurricane Center Bulletin, convective outlooks, and volcanic ash advisories. Finally, the All tab will group all briefing data together into one continuous page. This concludes a general overview of the Pilot Web weather briefing functionality. Thank you for using the Lockheed Martin Pilot Web.